Support for Arkansas Week provided by the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, the Arkansas Times, and Little Rock Public Radio.
Welcome to Arkansas Week. I'm Dawn Scott. It's good to see you. The Arkansas State Police is launching a public education campaign. And later, we remember a pioneer from the 1950-70 desegregation of Central High School. But first up, lithium is in high demand as a critical ingredient for electric car batteries. And Arkansas is getting international attention as researchers say millions of tons of lithium is located in a region in our state known as the Smackover Foundation. A key hearing is scheduled next month to determine royalty rates for companies eager to begin mining. And joining us are Hugh McDonald, the Secretary of the Arkansas Department of Commerce, along with Eric Pollock, who is a researcher for the University of Arkansas. We so appreciate both of you being here with me today. And first of all, we'll start with you, Secretary McDonald. How significant is the amount of lithium in Arkansas in terms of helping meet the world demand?
Well, it's, in one word, it's huge. The recent U.S. Geological Survey, which has put a lot of it in the media here recently, said it's. I think they said it's large enough to supply the U.S. demand for U.S. demand for lithium on EV production as it's projected in 2030. So 9 times that amount. So it's a huge resource for Arkansas and, frankly, North America. It's
unbelievable. What kind of interest is Arkansas seeing? I know other energy companies are contacting us.
Yeah, we've received lots of interest. Of course, Standard Lithium has been there with a demonstration plant for a number of years, perfecting their technology for direct lithium extraction. They have recently, within the last 6 months, done a joint venture with Equinor, which is a global oil and gas E&P company out of Norway. Also last year, ExxonMobil joined with 120,000 acres of leased mineral rights. So we're getting a lot of traction. When those big E&P players showed up, it really, really piqued the interest of the industry, the global industry that really said, this direct lithium extraction technology is a real thing. And we believe, and I think experts in the industry believe, that there's a lot of high-powered research happening all over the country, all over the world on how to perfect direct lithium extraction at a commercial scale to make it economic. And Exxon and Equinor and Standard Lithium wouldn't be there investing the time and effort and the dollars if they didn't believe that they could make it economic. So it's a huge opportunity for the state.
All from this Smackover formation that we've been talking about. But what has the administration done to really prepare for what's expected to be just a boom for the industry?
It's a lot of stuff really behind the scenes, some public, but also, last year, or earlier this year actually, the Department of Commerce, in cooperation with a lot of the industry, hosted a conference, the Arkansas Lithium Innovation Summit here in Little Rock it was, and we had people from all over the world actually come and talk to us about that. But we had companies from all over the world as well. It was just a day-long summit, but it was a way to introduce the state and the lithium opportunities on a more global perspective. We have visited with companies in Korea, starting to build those relationships. A lot of these Korean companies are world experts in battery technology, along with Chinese, which really dominate the market on a global scale. But we've been working on, so the summit was one thing, but the working group that put the summit on, that group has really continued to work as a group to work on issues for the industry. For example, whether it's workforce development, collaborating, getting the right groups together, getting power. transmission lines to serve the area, which is a huge issue that I've personally been involved in the state in supporting, trying to find ways to get the power supply to these sites. So a lot has been happening.
Well, let's get to Eric Pollock. He was at the summit that you're talking about, which we'll talk more about in a moment. But higher education, of course, is working with the state and other entities to promote this industry. And I want you to tell us what's happening, Eric.
Well, there's really sort of two aspects to the higher ed move. One is the innovation and the technology development. And the second part of that is the workforce development. This industry is going to require not only research scientists to perfect their technique, but it's also going to require operators and technical folks to keep the pipe running. So it's not just the U of A that's interested in being part of this, but sort of across the higher ed spectrum on the state, each one contributing to their mission-driven students to the pipeline that's going to be required for the lithium economy.
Well, we talked about, the creation of a workforce and, a number of other issues that came out of this summit with 700 stakeholders I read were there. Talk a little more about what was discussed and what you took away from that.
Yeah, it's, I didn't know anything about the lithium industry when I came to the Department of Commerce. It's effectively a brand new industry that has fallen in Arkansas's lap, the potential for a new industry. And what I've learned is that it's a vast, global, very complex supply chain that China dominates a lot of it today. So, what's really important for the state, we have limited resources. And we need to make sure we focus on where our strengths are. Because the supply chain is so vast and complex, it's just as important to focus on what not to pay attention to.
Sure.
And that's been one of the challenges. We've hired a globally known minerals outfit, consultancy called Benchmark Minerals. They've helped us really kind of define what the niche for Arkansas is going to be.
Well, Secretary McDonald, there's a 2-day hearing scheduled for November 4th and 5th in El Dorado. And one of the things that's going to be discussed there is lithium royalties. But once that's resolved, then what has to be done to really ramp up production? Yeah.
Well, certainly the royalties, we've got to get that right, right for the mineral owners and right for the companies. I think everybody wants to see a thriving industry that will start in South Arkansas but benefit the entire state ultimately. But as with any new industry, you've got capital investment, you've got workforce development. We're working on, with Eric and a broad array of stakeholders in developing the workforce development programs from high school all the way to two-year colleges, skilled trades, as well as higher education as well. So a lot of activities happening, but getting the people and getting the infrastructure that the companies will invest billions of dollars in developing their refining capacities.
We'll talk about the environment too. I know there have got to be some safeguards in place to do this responsibly. Obviously that's on your radar too.
Sure it is. And the advantage, one of the advantages that Arkansas has is that we've had an oil and gas business for 100 years down there. The communities and the state is well versed and organized and supports the industry and doing it responsibly as well from an environmental perspective, as well as common sense regulation to support the industry as well. So obviously the Department of Energy and Environment is heavily involved in this as well and supportive of the industry, but also ensuring that we do it responsibly from an environmental perspective.
Sure. Well, on this program, we had Congressman Bruce Westerman a while back talking about this lithium mining, and I'm curious what's being done on the federal level to assist you, to assist the state with this.
Lot of federal support, you know, in the Federal Inflation Reduction Act, the IRA. There's been, you know, hundreds of billions of dollars in terms of financial incentives to incentivize the development of this industry. Most of those dollars, however, have gone to the very far downstream side of this value chain. When I mean the downstream side, is that's the EV battery, the EV
Sure.
assembly facilities, the battery assemblies. There hasn't been enough investment in is on the upstream and midstream side of this value chain, cathode manufacturers, anode manufacturers, the components that go into the batteries and that process. And that's really where Arkansas's niche is going to be for the next 3 to 5 to 10 years to develop that industry. Doesn't preclude us from competing for a battery plant or a EV plant, but today the supply is built out in North America for that, and it's going to take a while for you know, the demand to fill up that supply for the EV makers to ultimately build additional plants. But that will happen in the future.
Well, and it's something that we're going to continue to follow, and it's just something so exciting for our state. What an advantage we have here, you know.
Yeah.
That's, as you said, has just fallen in our lap.
It's a once in a lifetime, maybe once in 2 or 3 lifetimes opportunity for the state.
Secretary of the Arkansas Department of Commerce, Hugh McDonald, thank you so much. And Eric Pollock, the researcher with the University of Arkansas, we appreciate both of you on the program today. Thank you so much. We'll be hearing much more about this in the coming weeks and months. And we'll be back with more of Arkansas Week right after this. Welcome back. The Arkansas State Police this month launched a public education campaign aimed at highlighting the services that it provides. And each week through the end of the year, the agency is releasing short videos intended to highlight services and resources provided by different divisions. Colonel Mike Hager is the director of the Arkansas State Police. He is also the secretary of the State Department of Public Safety, and we appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. We'll get to you in just a moment. Before we begin our discussion, we want to see part of one of these videos. They're being posted online. Take a look.
Honor, accountability,
We can learn from that. We all make mistakes, guys.
integrity,
We loved you too much to let other people hate you.
transparency,
And it's imperative that we get them right.
proactive,
Guys have the tools you need and be able to do your job.
unapologetic,
Stay on the ground, to your knees.
professionalism,
Act like you've been there before, because you have.
public safety with the servant's heart.
Is there anything I can do to help you, or is your car broke down? Or I don't want to leave you here, you'll freeze.
Family's worried about you. They don't know where you're at.
We are your Arkansas State Police.
And once again, Colonel Mike Hager with us, and we so appreciate you coming on. I spent a good portion of last evening watching a number of these videos, and I'm quite impressed. I'm so curious where this idea originated, where it came from.
You know, when I took this job in January of last year, one of the first people that I met with and brought on board was Cindy Murphy, who is our communications director. And I worked for the state police since 1996. And I recognized, and not just me, but a lot of people in our rank and file recognize that we've just never really done a good job at telling our story. And that's not to tell it in a braggadocious way, but it's to tell the story because we want to let the people of Arkansas know what we do for them. We're an expensive agency to fund, and we feel like that we need to let people know what we're doing with their tax dollars. I'm a firm believer in being a good steward of that, and we just need to let people know what we're doing.
Well, talking about tax dollars, these are in-house videos, so your people
Correct.
are doing them.
Yeah, we have just an amazing communications team. Again, you know, it's Cindy Murphy, Jonathan Nettles, Janie Runkle, Nick Ginty, all with a media background. Laura, they all bring so much to the table. It's been a blessing to have that group, and they kind of know what the media needs coming from that background. And they have really been a blessing to us. They've helped us tell that story, and it's really important for us.
You know, you were talking about just needing to have transparency, but I'm also curious about the need for recruiting and also a public relations component of this, letting the public know what you do as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and it's all of those things. I mean, it does help us with recruiting. You know, so a lot of people don't realize when they think about the Arkansas State Police, they think about that white car with the blue stripe. And they don't realize that we have 5 divisions of the state police. We have a criminal investigation division, a regulatory division, and crimes against children. There's so much other things that we do that people don't associate with the state police. And that's our fault. That's not the public's fault. We've never told that story. We've never let people know what we do. And there's some people that they have a draw to the state police. They want to be that highway trooper that is out there working. But we also have people that they're driven to be criminal investigators, homicide detectives, things like that. And that's a huge part of what we do. So it's just a way for us to get that message out to potential applicants, but also to get that message out to our taxpayers and just let them know what exactly it is we're doing with their money.
The videos are quite substantial too, and one of them I watched was numerous drug busts that you had, seized, things like fentanyl, other very dangerous things. And then the crimes against children, of course, is something we hear about, trafficking, and that's something that you were heavily involved in.
Sure. Yeah, we actually started a human trafficking task force last year, and we have a lot of success stories already that's come out of that. And the crimes against children, the drug interdiction work that our guys do on a daily basis. We take thousands and thousands of pounds of illegal narcotics off the interstates and the highways every year. Dozens of guns, put a lot of bad people in jail. And, that's our job. It's public safety is first and foremost. And, traffic enforcement is a component of that. And, you look at traffic enforcement versus the crash rates and the fatality rates, and the two go hand in hand. So we're a big believer in that, but we do a lot more than that, and that's what we're trying to get that word out and trying to let people know exactly what we do.
We do have to talk about public perception of law enforcement. Of course, you've been under scrutiny, not only state police and agencies across the nation, but police in general. Instances of misconduct recorded, and I'm curious if there is a perception that you are working to overcome that the public may have about you and your organization.
Absolutely. So I tell people all the time that when you see, like an improper use of force or something that, is kind of a black eye in our profession, it's kind of like a plane crash. They're very infrequent. They're very, very uncommon to happen. But when it does happen, you're going to hear about every single one of them. It's big news. And I would argue that we're one of the most transparent occupations in the world. Everything we do, we do it in front of a video camera. And so we're going to catch our mistakes, and we're humans. And as long as humans do this job, we're going to make mistakes. And when we do that, we're going to hold our people accountable, and we're going to, address that within. But unfortunately, you hear so much more about the negative of what law enforcement does. It overshadows the positive. And this is just an opportunity for us to try to show people the positive of what our guys are doing, and not only just the negative that you tend to see on the news.
Well, one of the things that you posted was just a full police chase, which I found so fascinating on your YouTube channel. That's where you can find these videos if our audience is interested in watching. What is the goal of that? Similar, would you say, of what we've been talking about?
Yeah, well, a couple of things. We have standing FOIA requests for all of our police uses of force, our pursuits, a number of different things that every Friday we have a FOIA request, and they're released out on YouTube. A lot of people think because of the names of some of the channels that it's actually a state police or a state-sponsored YouTube channel, and that's not necessarily, that's not the case. We're not the ones putting that out there, but we have very liberal FOIA laws in Arkansas, and so that information is going to be put out there. Now, we do have a YouTube channel within the state police, and a lot of times with our news releases, we'll include the video so they're going to see it anyway, but they need to see it with context. They need to understand this is why we were doing what we were doing. this is why we were in that pursuit. Because if you just watch the video, you really don't get on YouTube. You really don't get that. I mean, you see the video. A lot of times it's edited. They just want to see the dramatic parts of the video, but you really don't get the context of what went on behind that and why we were doing what we were doing.
From the very start to the very finish.
Exactly.
Yeah. And for our audience watching FOIA, we're very familiar with that term,
Sure.
but that's Freedom of Information
yeah.
request,
Right.
just so that there is transparency among law
Right.
enforcement and the public.
Right.
You know, how are you deciding which functions to showcase of your department? This is going to continue through the end of the year, so are you just going to show
Right.
everything, really?
Yeah, it won't be everything, but we try to balance it with public interest, but also things that just may not be as well known. So, we have a full-time interstate criminal patrol team that has been highlighted. We have a full-time aircraft section. The human trafficking task force. There's different things that the average citizen doesn't know what we're doing. So we try to balance it with an interest, but also with the educational component of just letting people know. And just to give you an example, of course, Arkansas Razorbacks trump everything in Arkansas. So we're doing a Razorback edition of this, and we've got Coach Calipari, Coach Pittman, that have recorded little videos for us, and we're going to kind of show what the state police does in the function of not only the Razorbacks, but also UCA, ASU, where we have troopers that are traveling with the team, providing security at those venues. And, we're going to highlight just little things like that, just to give people an idea of what we're doing.
Have you gotten feedback from the public?
We have, yeah. We've gotten a lot of feedback. We have a pretty significant following now on our social media channels, whether it be X, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, I guess. And we've got a lot of feedback, and almost overwhelmingly, it's all positive feedback. You're always going to have a few, but that's to be expected.
Sure. Well, we appreciate you coming on the program today and showcasing what you're doing with Arkansas State Police, and I'm sure we'll be hearing more and seeing more in the coming weeks and months. Colonel Mike Hager, the Director of the Arkansas State Police, we do appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the invitation.
Thank you, and we'll be back with more after this. It was 67 years ago that Arkansas was making headlines around the world when a governor sent the National Guard to prevent the integration of Central High School. Scenes of angry white mobs prompted President Eisenhower to counter by sending the Army to escort 9 black children into the school. Last weekend, one of the Little Rock Nine, Thelma Mothershed Ware, died of complications from multiple sclerosis. She was 83. Here are some highlights from an interview with Ware.
I was at Horace, Maine at the time in 10th grade, and the Board of Education sent around a notice saying people who lived in Central's area who were interested could sign up for a transfer. So like my friends and I said, hey, we should go to Central. Because we heard that they have better equipment than we do, better supplies, and might be just a better place to go. Since we're close, because really, had I been a well child, I could have walked to Central from my house. So anyway, we signed up to go to Central. Then Phobos came to TV and said that he foresaw some trouble. He was calling out his National Guard. I thought he meant to protect me. How wrong I was. So I was really surprised when I came and saw all those people from all over the state and from some other states that licensed place, from all over the place, because they felt like, hey, if this happens at Central, then the black people in our community will be expected to integrate schools too, so we can't let this happen in Little Rock. That's why they were out there. Because I think the race will look a lot better. I think things are better. So I hope that I had something to do with that. I pat myself on the back. I had something to do with it.
The last time all of the Little Rock Nine were together was on November 8th of 2009. That is when the New Yorker organized a photo shoot outside of Central with the photographer known as Platon, taking a powerful black and white image. Jefferson Thomas would die the following year in 2010 at the age of 67. And now Thelma Mothershed Ware has become the second of the 9 to die. She had faced health struggles for most of her life. I'm Dawn Scott. Thanks for watching.
Support for Arkansas Week provided by the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, the Arkansas Times, and Little Rock Public Radio.